For those struggling with tinnitus, stress is a huge factor. Right now, with all of this going on with this public health crisis, stress is at an all-time high. This is not only from a health perspective of not knowing what's going on, but from a financial perspective of many people being out of work, many small businesses not really knowing where they stand or how they're going to thrive. Stress is very abundant. We know that stress is one of the highest correlations with somebody's tinnitus perception and whether or not it bothers them. Individuals that have anxiety or depression or both are even more likely to report bothersome tinnitus than somebody who does not have an anxiety disorder or depression. So of the millions of people out there that have tinnitus, you have a huge portion of that population that reports having it but doesn't consider it to be bothersome. And then you have a smaller portion that consider it to be bothersome of various degrees. So right now, it's extremely important that we put some things into perspective and get some strategies. So if you find yourself having more struggles with your tinnitus, what I want you to do is, one, is to find ways to de-stress, whether that's going out for a walk, whether it's listening to music, listening to things that you find relaxing. There's plenty of apps out there that you can download that are free that allow you to avoid silence. If your tinnitus is flaring up and you're in a silent environment, you're going to perseverate over it, meaning you're going to really pay more attention to it and take constant inventory on it. And that's going to further strengthen the feedback loop, and that's going to put you in a hole. We need to work ourselves out of that hole. So one is find ways that you consider to be de-stressing for yourself. Avoid silence is another thing. Again, using apps for an example, the television, music, go on a walk and just hearing the birds, for example. That's getting out of silence. I also want you to look at your sleep. Sleep is extremely important because that's also a feedback loop. If you have poor sleep, higher stress, more cortisol in your body, more fatigue, you are going to typically have higher levels of tinnitus that following day. If you've been very stressed from your tinnitus that day as well, because of that, you might have trouble sleeping. So utilizing some good sleep hygiene is extremely important, of making sure we're reducing our screen time prior to going to bed, making sure that we're drinking adequate water during the day, but maybe stopping slightly before bed so we're not having to wake up throughout the night if possible. Looking at what our food intake is, if we're eating a lot of sugary things. Caffeine as well, obviously, may for many people is a strong effect on your ability to fall asleep or stay asleep. So I want you to look at your sound environment. I want you to look at your stress. I want you to look at what you're putting in your body. I want you to consider going for walks and doing exercise. And then another thing right now to consider is actually reaching out and getting a good community that you can talk through some of this with. So I highly recommend the Facebook page, which is Positive Tinnitus Support, Tinnitus Friends Positive Support Group. Only go on there, though, if you're going to be somebody who wants to follow evidence-based suggestions and care and actually look to help yourself. We need more positivity in the world, and coming at this from a positive perspective is fantastic. So you are not a victim of your tinnitus. You have a lot of power. You just have to learn how to harness that power. And so those are some strategies that we can do right now, given the situation that we're in. I wish you all well, all strength and hope, and know that you can live successfully with tinnitus if you put all the right pieces in the puzzle.